結構アニメって給料面とかでは大変だったり時間とか労働も大変ではあるんです。
They don't have company benefits like health insurance while arguably working just as hard.
What's up, guys? It's Jason here, and welcome to my YouTube channel, Anime Insight. It is no secret that one of the great art forms of our modern world is Japanese anime. You can't think of meme culture without anime because of characters such as Naruto, Sailor Moon, and Akira are bombarded daily throughout the many social media as a clear reminder of the utter dominance of Japanese animation worldwide. In 2019, the Japanese anime market grew to an unprecedented $23 billion. Market estimates put the anime market at $30 billion in 2021, with prospects of reaching $60 billion by 2025. So, anime is a fast-growing industry with unlimited potential, right? But with all the success, there is a dirty little secret about the anime industry that few dare talk about: the ridiculously low salaries of anime artists, which, instead of growing along with the market, seem to get more miserable with each passing year. In this video, I'll run you through a quick history of Japanese anime, the problems plaguing the industry, and the solutions. By the end, you'll be an expert on Japanese anime, and I guarantee you'll feel different next time you binge watch your favorite anime show. I promise! But before we begin, I just need a quick favor from you. If you wouldn't mind hitting that like button for the YouTube algorithm, I'd really appreciate it. As this is a brand new channel I just started this year, it helps me out a ton, and it allows me to continue watching anime and making great videos like this. Thanks for doing that, and now let's continue on with the rise and fall of Japanese anime. The first Japanese anime ever made. Although debatable, from its humble beginnings in 1907 with the short Katsudo Shashin by an anonymous creator, this was the first Japanese anime ever made. From there, Japanese anime has grown and matured from a kids-only product to the most dynamic and profound cultural propulsor not only of Japanese culture, but for the entire world. There are very few kids who don't know Dragon Ball Z or Pikachu. Anime has placed Japan at the center of popular culture movements in every corner of the world, challenging the United States in its dominion of popular culture trends, and in many ways, surpassing even the great behemoth of animation, Disney. The Japanese version of Deadpool, sold only in Japan, has surpassed the world sales of the US version of Deadpool, with over 500,000 copies sold, versus Deadpool comics in the US and the rest of the world reaching only the 5 figures. The advent of video games have propelled animation studios beyond even that, and not surprisingly, most of the most successful video games were first popular manga or anime. Nintendo wouldn't be Nintendo without anime. Anime is transcendent. Spirited Away won Academy Award for Best Animated Feature at the 75th Academy Awards, making it the first and only hand-drawn, non-English language animated film to win the award. Unfortunately, the reward Studio Ghibli gives its artists for this enormous success is to outsource their new work to India. The problem with Japanese anime. Great production companies like Toei Animation, Gainax, Madhouse, Gonzo, Sunrise, Bones, TMS Entertainment, Nippon Animation, Studio Pierrot, and Studio Ghibli are quite aware of the problem, but they have absolutely no interest in resolving it. The very popularity of anime and manga guarantee an endless supply of young, talented, and ambitious animators who will be willing to work for slave wages in order to make their mark on the anime world. This is the real problem with Japanese anime. It seems like a paradox that the popularity of an art form guarantees that the best talent is kept half-starved, but it is depressingly real. Here are some of the causes. Outsourcing. Following the lead of their Western counterparts, Japanese companies have begun to outsource much of their work to countries with significantly lower salaries like China and India, where animators and artists get paid a fraction of the money that a Japanese artist can earn. The top animators, those who create the characters we love so much, are in constant danger of losing their jobs, but at least they are paid fairly. But the so-called in-between animators, the folks who color or shade, the people who make the in-between drawings of animations, they're treated as little better than actual slaves with payment of $2 or less per drawing. Depression is rampant for these artists, suicide is common, and sadly, there's no end in sight for their woes because the anime industry is as strong as the cotton industry was in America before the Civil War. The threat of losing their jobs to much worse paid Chinese or Indian animators keep the Japanese animators in check. Sadly, it is the very success of anime that guarantees such pathetic working conditions for the folks creating it. The need for new animators is always growing, and that need causes some Japanese production companies to look to third world countries for talent. The West. The woes of animators are not limited to Japan. For instance, Disney routinely outsources work to third world artists, but at least in the United States, animators living in the US are given living wages. Of course, animation producers in the US have been outsourcing their work to China and India for decades. One need only to look back at the credits of any Disney or Pixar film to see where most of the work is being done. Although things are a little better for Western artists, the easy and right-down criminal outsourcing of their work to third-world artists working in less than optimal conditions threatens the security of the animation industry in the West. Originally, in the early days of animation, Disney had a creative group of artists who worked out of the Burbank, California studios and went from movie to movie, creating such great classics as Snow White and The Sleeping Beauty. But as business grew and the demands of production increased, Disney and many other independent animation studios relied more and more on cheap labor to do the tedious work while they focused on the creative efforts at home. Today, Netflix, Cartoon Network, and many others, including Disney, rely principally on strategic alliances with China and India, where the labor is much cheaper. This spells doom for Western animators who can't compete with their Indian and Chinese counterparts. Hard lives now and ahead. How much money do animators make a month? The worst suffering is in Japan, where animators must live with their parents, have a second job, or work impossible hours just to keep food on their table. The average salary for a Japanese animator is only $650 a month. This is one of the most expensive countries in the world, and it is infuriating to think that kids in Japan still dream to become animators because of their love for the art itself. The love of anime. This is the principal engine for the exploitation of animators. So long as young kids dream of making manga and anime, there will be businessmen who can exploit them. So, in a sense, the exploitation of young, talented artists is actually the secret behind the success of anime. The great majority of animators are independent contractors, which means they do not get any benefits, they do not get a salary, and they have no power in the decision-making over their jobs. Japanese companies do not have anything like royalty or revenue sharing for character creators. There is no overtime pay to meet deadlines. You get paid for what you draw, not the time it takes you to do it. So, a passion-driven industry where the most talented are ruthlessly exploited because they love their work so much is a businessman's pipe dream. But how long can it last? The folks making most of the money in anime are not the artists and creators. They are the businessmen who know how to exploit them. And this limits the chances of true creators to go independent and do their own work. Also, if artists and creators do manage to get more say in their financial futures, the hungry artists will disappear, and the quality of the work will diminish, as it has in America, or worse yet, their jobs will be sent to China and India. Or will they? It is no secret that the suffering of the artists has created some of the most monumental works of art known to men. Beethoven's Ninth Symphony comes to mind. Many of the most transcendent artists and creators, especially those who worked in fiction like Edgar Allan Poe and H.P. Lovecraft, suffered greatly. Vincent van Gogh was unable to sell his paintings and counted on his brother to take care of him. Why should Japanese anime artists have it any other way? Economic engine of exploitation. Perhaps because of the billions of dollars that their creations have earned worldwide, anime directors and producers know that they can replace their artists with no difficulty because of the huge number of people wanting to break into the industry. Producers and distributors earn billions of dollars, and there is no trickle down to the folks who can actually create the products that they sell. Can life for an artist be so utterly unfair and still attract thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands, to work their fingers to the bone to make ever more meticulous and beautiful art for mass consumption? We can't always blame the producers and distributors. In order to compete in their own market, they must keep production costs down to a minimum. The greater part of their earning goes to their marketing efforts. Print and television ads are expensive. Ties to toy and ancillary products companies are key to their success. Small-time independent producers or even lone wolf illustrators can't possibly compete in these markets without the help of a big production company, who will, of course, retain all the marketing and creative rights to the work of. The key to the success in anime has been and will always be in distribution. But behind the distribution are the enormously talented artists who make sure the salesmen have something worthwhile to sell. Crowdfunding. So, what's going on with crowdfunding, you may ask? Is it the solution to the problem? Crowdfunding has made a small but significant dent in the power of the big production companies, but it has a long way to go.
だからもうクラウドファンディングっていう別の方法にはこう移り変わってるのかなっていうのがあります。
Although crowdfunding projects have filled the pockets of many creators, they require the fickle taste of the fans to succeed. Many great stories and interesting characters get overlooked in the many crowdfunding platforms because they don't have the right angle on their sales pitch. And you can't expect a creator to do it all, creating a brilliant story, design its look, and then market it as well. So we can see the comic writing on the wall. If Japan follows suit and begins to outsource their animation work, all the Japanese talent will be out of a job. And they're aware of that, so they're willing to continue working their slave wages. And so, we have to go back to the idea that the love of anime as being the cause of its own fall. Too many kids want to work making manga and anime in Japan, and greedy tactics of successful production companies will ensure that these kids remain poor, overworked, and underappreciated for decades to come. Hope for a solution. And that brings us to today. What is the solution to the problem? Is there a way to protect anime artists from their producers? Recently, a variety of support groups have been sprouting to defend anime artists in forums such as Twitter and Reddit, but also in real life. Co-op housing, free meals, even psychological support for anime creators is now available in some places, in part to keep the anime business in Japan, and in part to protect the young artists, many of them women who are ruthlessly exploited by the mega corporations. It's not much, but with these efforts and a rising awareness of the problem, there is a chance that anime will continue to be drawn by Japanese youths, like it has historically, and that these youths will mature themselves, like their art, and be able to live dignified lives doing what they love. The anime industry is in no danger of falling apart anytime soon. Pikachu is not in danger of extinction, and sales figures for anime products are as sure a bet as Facebook, Walmart, and Amazon. The anime video game tie-in guarantees that we will see our favorite characters in one form or another for decades to come. The diversity in themes and genres of anime make it almost immune to boredom, because anime does not shy away from depicting horror, erotic, drama, and other mature themes, whereas Western animation is still trying vainly to be kid-friendly, and in our current politically correct times, it dreads any kind of controversy, something that anime thrives on. Fortunately, or unfortunately, Japanese anime producers understand perfectly well that their billionaire profits depend enormously on the blood, sweat, and tears of their artists. Perversely, perhaps they recognize that the suffering of their creators is part of the fuel for their creativity, and it is not surprising that many anime projects deal with such dark themes as abuse, genocide, and cosmic horror. One need only to watch Attack on Titan to realize how dark the rabbit hole goes in the minds of anime creators. Dare we spare the suffering of the creators, making their lives bearable and thus dooming their art to mediocrity? There is no denying that human suffering is a source of human innovation, but can we accept a corporate, greed-based, institutionalized suffering to milk the creative juices of thousands of miserable Japanese youths and squeeze every bit of joy and peace out of their miserable souls just in order to maximize profits? Are we so dense? Will Pikachu and Naruto be any less popular if their creators don't suffer as much? Well, let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching my video. There was a significant amount of research, production, and Japanese anime watching that went into making this video possible. If you enjoy videos like this, please click the subscribe button and hit that notification bell. The more subscribers we get, the better and more content I can continue making. Have you seen my video on the 3 secrets behind the rise of Bear Bricks or the rise and fall of Topshop? Those ones are my personal favorites. As always, stay happy and healthy and stay tuned for another episode of Company Insight next week.